and welcome to LTV's CityScope. This is the show that we talk about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of people, places, events, things happening in the Leominster environs. Is that such a word? Environs? Thank you, Sean. So anyway, today, my name is Carl Piermarini, by the way, in case you don't know that. I have the pleasure of talking with somebody that many of you are very familiar with. And I had completely forgotten that he was on LTV many years back. I had completely forgotten about that. But I'm talking with the K-Zone's Sean Sweeney, the infamous Sean Sweeney. Welcome to LTV.
Happy to be here, Carl. Thank you very much for the invite. I appreciate it.
So listen, we get up every morning, right?
Most of us do.
Turn on the radio, and there you are. Before we get into more about your show in the mornings, let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay. You're sure you want to go into that?
I don't know.
You want to go into that hell?
You go as far as you want to go.
Okay.
Where were you born? Educated? Blah blah blah.
Well, you know, I'm a born and raised Fitchburg guy.
Okay.
You know, I was born in the late 1970s up at the old Burbank Hospital.
Yes.
Went to Fitchburg High School, went up through the Fitchburg Public Schools, first Crocker Elementary School, had a little bit of a detour to St. Bernard's Elementary. We don't talk about that. Then back into the Fitchburg Public Schools at B.F. Brown,
yes.
And then up to Fitchburg High School.
Okay.
The old building, the current Longjo Middle School.
Yeah.
So it's been a long ride.
Wow. So you got a lot of history, and you know the Fitchburg story. You know everything there is to know.
I have a good grasp of what
That's good.
of how Fitchburg came about and how Leominster came about,
Right.
and trying to how the Twin Cities intermingle.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're currently living in Fitchburg.
Born and raised, yeah. And
do you have a family, or do you have?
I am married to
Okay.
A Fitchburg High School teacher.
Okay.
We met about 10 years ago. We're coming up on 10 years.
Nice.
Been married for 8.
Yeah.
No kids. We've
Okay.
got we have 3 cats and a horse.
Wow.
Nice. And you know, my mom is living in Leominster now.
Right.
So.
Okay. Cool. So you know, people want to know who's Sean Sweeney. They hear him every morning, so we're going to delve right into that. So.
Absolutely.
Did you start off in a journalism career? I mean, what?
You know, I started off. I was always fascinated with the media from a young age.
Okay.
And I was looking for a way to break out of the closeness of my family. My family is all from Fitchburg.
Right.
And I have 4 cousins who were all within the same age as I am.
Right.
And we all went to Fitchburg High School.
Yep.
And it's very hard to break out of a shadow.
Yes.
I had 3 cousins that were all fantastic athletes at Fitchburg High School. One is a member of the Fitchburg High School Hall of Fame in her own right, as well as a member of that 1989-90 girls basketball team.
Okay.
Another cousin who is a member of the Hall of Fame from that 1991 football team. Another cousin who was a fantastic soccer player, as well as a tremendous basketball player. A couple of them were also incredible students. I was not the greatest student.
Right.
Okay, I still complain about the curriculum. I've been out of high school for almost 27 years. I complain about the curriculum still.
Right.
And then one was a very popular cheerleader. So how am I going to stand out
right.
in that neck of the woods? So it was interesting. When I was 12 years old, you know, I went to the old St. Bernard's Summer Carnival.
Right.
And at the time, WEIM was doing a remote broadcast from the grounds of the elementary school,
Right.
and it was Ray C. who was doing it. And Dave Clark was there as well. And my father said, I want to introduce you to this great broadcaster. I'm scared out of my mind.
Right.
And Ray puts me into the chair, and he's just like, I will always remember the first thing he said to me. He put me on the air, and he said, "So what are you doing here? You cruising chicks?"
That sounds like Ray.
That just it turned a light on for me, and I got involved, with that.
Right.
And then a few years later, I was the manager of that 1991 football team at Fitchburg High.
Wow.
And then the next year, I started doing stats for Dave Clark and Mike Flynn on their schoolboy football broadcasts. So, and then I was also then I got involved in the newspaper, and it just jumbled, and it became something that I could do for the rest of my life, for the most part, until newspapers went down into the toilet. But that's just another story that we won't get into right now. But yeah, it's been a fun ride. Almost 30 years in this business. So.
You talk about that old EIM mobile. It was, if I remember, it was a station wagon, wasn't it?
No, it was a big powder blue, a Leominster blue van with a big roof, and it had a little studio inside it. Yeah. Because
I remember back in those days in Leominster, I remember seeing a wagon. I predate you. It could have
been the old EIM from when it was under the Night Quality Stations logo, or could have been CMX, could have been FGL.
You're talking the mid to late '60s.
Oh, that was way before my time. I wasn't even a thought.
That was. I can remember Nick Pirro used to run the wagon. I'm pretty sure it was WEIM. Yeah. Anyway, we're digressing. This isn't his story. This is Sean's story. So we're going to do this.
Sure.
So,
those were great days.
But it's obviously listening to you in the mornings that you are a good statistician, and you do pay attention to all the various, city meetings and things that are going on around.
Thanks to the good people of LTV and Fitchburg Access TV. That is a massive help.
It's such a help to people being able to get that synopsis of what's going on instead of sitting and watching paint dry for 5 hours watching a
I'll watch the paint dry for you.
Right. That's your job. Yeah. Paint, watch, dryer, or paint, dry, watcher, something like that. Yeah. So you did some journalism with Enterprise for a while, right?
Yeah.
How long did that last about?
Oh, good Lord. The first stint I started in 1993. Okay. And when I was in high school. Right. That went until December of '99 when I took over for Bill Gilman doing news. He went up to do the Winchendon Courier with with Stonebridge Press. Right. So I took over in the news at WEIM, and I did that for about a year and a half. When I was doing all the city meetings. It was quite possibly the best civics lesson that I could have ever taken, covering city meetings in both Fitchburg and Leominster. Right. So,
it's so funny the different dynamic between Fitchburg and Leominster and how it's different. We're twin cities, but it is so night and day.
Yeah, in some regards, but in other regards, it's not. Right. Because Leominster and Fitchburg are all dealing with a lot of the same things that that we've tackled on the program. Two factory towns, old factory towns, living in some shape of harmony, and you're dealing with a lot of the same things. Aging school buildings, is the Fallbrook situation right now. Right. We're dealing with Crocker School in Fitchburg, and obviously, Longshow Middle School being as old as it is. Right. We're approaching 100 years in about a decade and a half for that building. So. A lot of the same things are happening in both communities, and it's an honor to cover, to update the residents of what's going on.
So this current stint at PKZ. So when did that begin?
That began in mid-September, and actually you go back about a year and a half or thereabouts when Travis Condon. Yes. Who's now at the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce. He was the morning man along with Sherman Whitman. Right. Travis left to go to the chamber. Mm-hmm. I got a phone call. I was sitting in my office working on a book, and I got a phone call from Sherman. Yeah. And he's like, Travis is leaving. Would you be interested in coming in the mornings and being like my sidekick? Mm-hmm. And one, I was absolutely stunned that Travis was leaving because he had been there for 5, 6 years at that point.
Yeah.
And two, honored that not only that Sherman would reach out to me, but this was would have been a role I would have loved to have had when Ray stepped away.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to a family function in 2000 or thereabouts when a family friend came up to me and said, "This is wonderful for you. They found Ray's replacement."
Right.
This is no BS.
Yeah.
I'm actually. This was what they said. You would eventually replace Ray C.
Wow.
And I'm like, I had never thought of it in that light, because here I am. I'm just doing my job, just doing the news. I had never thought that would have ever come, because Ray was not dying, and he was not. You're not going to leave the radio station.
Right.
So, the timing though.
Yeah.
In 2020 was just not good.
Right.
Because my wife had a medical incident in May. I was basically driving her back and forth to Fitchburg High School and to the barn. I really had no time of my own. It was not mine. And I wouldn't have been able to get to her, I wouldn't be able to get to the radio station until the middle of November. That was still a month. That was like a month into it.
Yep.
And I just I just let it go. But then this past August came around, and I got a phone call from Howie Kahn. I was sitting in my office again and working on a book. And he's like, Sherman's going to leave. How would you like to move into his shoes and be the morning host? And I was like, yeah, let's talk about that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, I had a conversation with him, as well as John Morrison, the owner, probably about 5 or 6 days later.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Cool.
This works.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So you're still operating out of the building, the same building?
God help us, yes.
I think the last time I was in there was with Ray C. I was doing an interview. Ray was interviewing me. I think that was the last time I've been
Was
in
it
there.
the downstairs or was it upstairs?
It was downstairs.
Okay, yeah, so that's within the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but so what time do you? I know you're on from a little before 7 or
a little bit before 7. They've truncated the first 42 minutes of the program. I wake up every morning, sometimes, whenever the cat wants to wake up.
Right.
So probably around 3:15.
Wow.
Anywhere between 3:15 and 4, I'm awake.
Yeah.
Shower, get ready for the day.
Yeah.
Get some coffee in me, and that's when I work on my sports and my weather script, because all my news script I do the night before.
Okay.
After I cover the meetings and all that. So, and I usually pull into the building probably a little bit before or a little bit after 5.
Right.
Get all the extraneous stuff done.
Yep.
And then I record the 6:30 cast, which also plays throughout the morning after my show. Yep. Do the sports, the weathers, traffic and weather, and it's a very involved process. But we got it down to about 35 minutes in total before 6 o'clock, in that hour of 5, that we have everything done and everything goes out over the air from that point.
A lot of people don't realize that you're not only the on-air talent, but you're also the news editor and the sports editor, and the whole 9 yards. Which it's a tremendous amount of work.
It is, and radio has really changed in terms of. Well, actually, all journalism. Let's be fair about this. All journalism has changed over the last 20 years.
Right.
I mean, as many as probably 5 years ago, and I don't know exactly when the Sentinel really reduced the local news coverage, because I was always just caring about what the sports department was doing.
Right.
Because lo and behold, I was the sports department for the longest time.
Yep.
But the Sentinel has really reduced its local ties.
Yes.
I know a lot of people aren't aren't liking that, but it's not on Cliff, it's not on Danielle, it's
Right.
it's higher up
Right.
because of early deadlines. So it has effectively created a news desert. I mean, the same thing with the Leominster Champion with David Dorr, who I used to work with in Southbridge.
Okay.
Great guy.
Yep.
It's not on him,
Right.
and it's not his fault. So, so yeah, and you're being forced to do more with less because of cost constraints and whatever, not wanting to put money into the production or into the into the business, into the newspaper or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I'm doing the job of probably 2 or 3 people for only one person's salary.
Right.
So I'm doing the morning show. So I'm doing about 10, 12 hours of airtime a week, plus all the newscasts, the sports, and looking up the weather, trying to be a meteorologist, a very, very low-paid meteorologist, and not doing as good as the high-paid meteorologist
and traffic.
And doing traffic and weather several times a day, and keeping your eyes on a map that you barely know how to read as it is, but trying to keep it all together and make it seem like it's a professional product.
Right. Well, it definitely is a professional product.
Oh, thank God someone thinks
really
that.
Good. Now, I know you have sometimes some co-hosts with you in the morning to kind of bounce things off.
Yeah.
Can you read off some names of people?
Sure. Well, my current producer, Noah Hatton, he's a 22-year-old kid, very sharp, very, very smart. Okay. Originally from Vermont, now living in New Hampshire. Interesting fact about Noah, he had been actually, I'm going to give two facts about Noah. He has been a 2-time guest of the Rock and the Berg program, which Derek Drown hosts at noon on Fridays. And now he's also sitting in with Derek and is really getting a lot of the guests that they've had. But also, historically, his great grandfather was a favorite of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I, back in the 1600s in England, in London. So that's he's bragging about that, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty darn cool, actually, if you think about it. Yeah. And then Chef Sean Flanagan from Sean Patrick's. Which is obviously no longer in business. He sold the business off, and it's now Il Forno. He comes in on Wednesdays and Fridays in the morning, and it's a fantastic dynamic that that the three of us have. He loves it when we have on a few of the other politicians that he can question about because a lot of our politicians in our neck of the woods are all Democrats, and he's a Republican. So it's nice to have that extra wrinkle into the program.
That's good. Listening to it, you do work well together, and it helps. It's really it's quite the entertaining show. If people don't know where to find it, you're on the FM dial
at 105.3.
And I encourage everybody to tune in and listen, because you can get a lot of information. I'm always I live 6 minutes away from here, but I hear you. Oh, how's Central Street today? Okay, I have to go down, so.
I mean, the big thing that I want to do with this program is that I want to, one, inform the people, whether it be what happens in Leominster City Council and Fitchburg City Council. Last night I was over at Memorial Middle School talking about Fitchburg Public Schools and their redistricting plan. I can't get to everything, and it's unfortunate because I'm only just one person. I've tried to cover 2 meetings at once in this pandemic-related world, like have the Gardner City Council on my laptop and Fitchburg City Council on my television, or Fitchburg School Committee on my TV. It just doesn't work. I can't do it.
It's amazing
difficult.
that you can do what you are accomplishing. It's
Thank
just
you.
Beyond
I appreciate that.
You can
I want to inform. I want to entertain, and like I say every morning at 8:59:30, hopefully we took your mind off that hellish thing called a morning commute. We want to be that one spot for those 2 hours where you're getting what's happening in your backyard, whether it be in Fitchburg, whether it be in Leominster, whether it be in Gardner, get those news, what happened, and you know, the big thing that happened will be on the next morning.
Right.
So that whole thing with the place down on Lancaster Avenue that had Bill Brady said it's vegetable oil, it's not jet fuel, about that situation. That headline the next morning's news, and then there was a little bit after. I try to get as much as I can out of those meetings and stretch it out across the week, because you only have so many meetings every week.
Right.
So yeah, you know, we want to entertain you, we want to inform you, and we want to take your mind off the morning commute, because it can be a pain in the ass. Let's be honest with you.
Some days I'll listen to you coming in and I say, oh, I gotta throw you on. So I put your streaming channel on, you know, on their webpage. You can stream, they stream, and you can hear it live. Yeah. And so it's great, you know, just having it on in the background when I'm having my coffee when I come in. So it's great.
We appreciate we have one listener.
There you go. Along with our one viewer, that's perfect. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. You do a fantastic job, and I just wanted to have you on here and talk about that. And we are both part of this new group that has formed, this coalition called the North Central. What is it called?
The Elect North Central.
Thank you.
Coalition. Yeah.
That's how much I know about the group. No, it's a good group. We're trying to get candidates together so that they can be seen and heard by the public, so that we know what everybody's views are and how things are going. So.
Yeah, we're trying to get Attorney General Maura Healey, as well as State Senator Sonia Cheng Diaz, the two Democratic challengers for Governor Baker's spot on Beacon Hill. As you know, Governor Baker's not running for re-election. There's a couple of Republicans as well who are running in Jeff Deal and Chris Doughty, who's a Wareham businessman. So we're trying to get the Attorney General, as well as State Senator Cheng Diaz, to come up and talk with us in April. We're hoping. Nothing's been set in stone just yet. That's why I haven't really made any announcements on the air yet. But yeah, you know, the hope is that they will accept our invitation and come up to Fitchburg, the Twin Cities, and talk to everyone within our little micropolitan area, whether it be on broadcast on Fitchburg Access TV as well as LTV. So.
Yeah, this coalition will be great, because we'll try to work together and disseminate the news that the candidates to everybody. So and
it's more than just our three entities. It's also Worcester Business Journal. It's also New View. It's Making Opportunity Count. Mass Live's getting involved now. State House News is getting involved. Those are big pickups, because they have such a large contingent and a large following, whether it be on social media or on their various platforms. And Mass Live, for those who don't know, is the digital arm of the Springfield Republican, a newspaper out in Springfield. So, and it is also the North Central Mass Chamber, this Fitchburg State, Mount Wachusett Community College is involved. A lot of entities that have a stake in our area, whether it be Fitchburg or Leominster and the surrounding communities.
Nice. Okay, so we have a few minutes left. What's the future for Sean Sweeney?
Oh,
continue what you're doing?
Basically, continue what I'm where I want to be. I mean, this is the role I think that I was made for. I always wanted to be in a broadcast or in media. Right. I'm in media. I've been in media all my life. For the most part, whether it be stringing for the Fitchburg Sentinel, or stringing for the Worcester Telegram, sports editor at the Southbridge Evening News, covering the New England Revolution for BostonSportsJournal.com and then my own entity, and now finally back into the big chair where I thought I was going to be probably 15 years ago, but it took a little extra time.
Just think, there may be some kids watching you or listening to you that you may.
Yeah, and that's obviously it's in the back of my mind that I want to do a good show and maybe inspire a couple kids. I have a couple of kids that have been I've known, whether it be through sports writing or through other avenues, who I've mentored and said, hey, just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a kid who is down in the Sturbridge area. He's currently on TV in Rockford, Illinois. He just got a gig at PRI in Providence.
Nice.
I'm so happy
Don't you
for
love
him.
when
He's a
that
great
happens?
kid.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I'll be talking with some kids next week.
And I know you mentioned you're writing a book. We won't get into that yet, but when the time comes and you're ready to do something,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
give us a call.
I've been writing fiction for 20 years now, and I've kind of gone to into different aspects in different genres. I started out as fantasy. That's when Mike Cooley had me up the street around the corner. I was doing fantasy novels at that point. I've moved on to thrillers and police procedurals, and I'm still kind of doing those. But I've also moved into a different genre. I've moved into Regency romance, which is the era of 1811 to 1820 in England.
Okay.
That's during the Regency, when the Prince Regent was when it was George, who became George IV, who took over for George III. So that's fun.
That's
cool.
Cool.
It's flexing a different muscle.
Okay, I'm getting the wave that we have to end this now.
Really?
Right, guys?
We're having so much fun.
We are. We'll do it again at some point. I don't know when, and we'll fill in the blanks of all these things we may have forgotten. We're going to look at this and say, oh, I forgot to mention this.
I don't think we've forgotten anything. I thought it's been great, and thank you so much for having me on. And Carl, thank you so much for serving the city of Leominster as well as you have as the executive director of LTV. For as long as you have.
It's been over 20 years.
And when I hear that you are going to be riding off into the sunset.
Maybe there's
at
rumors
some
of
point
that, but we got a while yet.
Good.
We won't make an announcement as of yet.
We don't want you to leave because no one's going to take over your job for the amount of money that you're getting paid.
Maybe.
Let's be honest about that. And obviously, thank you to the viewers of LTV and hopefully that they are going to be listeners of AM 1280 and 105.3 WPKZ. And we will see you on the other side.
Nice. Very good. Well, with that, thank you all for watching CityScope. And remember, time waits for no one, so do it now. Thank you.